Should you move to Woodstock or Canton? Today we're taking a look at 8 categories, putting the cities head to head, dishing out points, and at the end we're going to declare a winner. The categories are population density, downtowns, location, home prices, healthcare, schools, safety, and things to do.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Hey, my name is Joel. I'm a local realtor here in the metro Atlanta area. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn everything about what it feels like to live here, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you can stay up to date on everything there is to know about living around Atlanta. Let's get started. Woodstock was developed as an extension of Marietta. Once Marietta became so dense and saturated, Woodstock was the next frontier. And where Woodstock was once the sticks, it's now so packed, and I hear it over and over again, Woodstock is full, no more people in Woodstock, but they're still coming. So if that's not for you, then it's time to get out. And similar to Marietta, there's not a lot of land left in Woodstock, and the little bit there is, they are currently building on. So if you're looking for new construction in Woodstock, time is certainly running out. Give me a call. Canton, on the other hand, still has a lot of large lots and open land. There are still owners that own livestock like horses, cows. There's a guy down the road from me that has alpaca. It's not uncommon to find a 10 to 20 acre lot with cows right next to a 500 home neighborhood with large 3,000 to 5,000 square foot homes. Population wise, they're pretty similar. Woodstock has a population of about 38,000, while Canton is right behind it at around 36,000. So you're thinking, okay, it's about the same. However, Canton is about 3 times the size of Woodstock. Woodstock is only a 4 by 12 mile rectangle, but Canton is closer to 12 by 12 miles. So not only is there less people, there's a heck of a lot more space for them. So population density is way lower in Canton. My prediction is that will slowly change over time. More and more people are moving to Cherokee County every day. But for now, there's certainly a lot more elbow room in Canton. 1 point for Canton. Which one has the better downtown? Well, downtown Woodstock is certainly more popular. That's probably also because Woodstock is more centrally located. If you're in Marietta, Ackworth, maybe even Alpharetta or Roswell, Woodstock is within arm's reach if you're looking for a night out. But also, Woodstock has done amazing work over the years to develop its downtown with restaurants, breweries, event space, playgrounds, walking trails, retail and amphitheater, apartments, detached homes, and eventually having to build a parking deck because the place is always packed. Canton's downtown has been known to be very sleepy. However, there's been a lot of additions in the past couple of years. There are new restaurants like B&B Social, which is kind of a bar pub style place with games like small version of bowling or darts. It's supposed to be a more active eating experience. Pops is like a fancy counter service Italian place. You order at the counter, you get your own napkins, and silverware is actually plasticware. But the food is definitely sit-down quality. It's actually a little disorienting because the food is so good you keep looking around for the waiter to show up and refill your drink. And then there's La Cantina on Main, which is the new Mexican place. I haven't been there yet, but it's definitely on the list. Add that to the established staples like Local on North, Queenie's, Downtown Kitchen, as well as events like First Fridays where there's live music and tons of food trucks. Downtown Canton is becoming a rising hotspot. Now, I never talk about downtown Canton without talking about the Mill on Etowah. This is right across the street and has quickly become a local favorite. They turned an industrial complex into a very cool event space, complete with shops and restaurants. There's always something happening on the green space, whether it's a local band or showing a football game or a community event like Christmas party or a farmer's market. I'm going to give the edge to Woodstock here. It's much more walkable. It's generally more consistently busy, which gives it a little bit more energy, but Canton is certainly catching up, and it's a much closer race than it was just 5 years ago. So obviously Canton is much further north than Woodstock is, so this is a decision of what type of lifestyle you're looking for. Both will be about 45 minutes north of Atlanta, up I-75 and then to 575. They're fairly similar with just a bit of nuances and shades of gray. Woodstock is more central, giving you easier access not only to Atlanta, but the rest of the metro area suburbs. Marietta is just to the south, where you have things like Marietta Square, Marietta Food Hall, or Six Flags Whitewater. Ackworth is to the west and has Lake Altoona with Ackworth Beach and a nice downtown. Alpharetta is to the east and has the Avalon, downtown Alpharetta, North Point Mall. And then Roswell has Canton Street, Old Mill Park, and the Chattahoochee River. All of these places will have more restaurants, more parks, and just more businesses like escape rooms, axe throwing, pickleball courts, you name it. Woodstock will put you more in the middle of everything. Canton is a bit more removed. You can get to Alpharetta and Roswell pretty easily via 140, but it's a bit further. Cumming is to the east, but to get to anything worth doing in Cumming is 30 to 40 minutes. Cartersville is to the west, and it's the same story, about 30 to 40 minute drive. And then you have small town America to the north. Waleska and Ball Ground are the direct neighbors. There's not much in Waleska, but downtown Ball Ground is pretty cute. As you keep traveling north, you'll hit Jasper, Ellijay, and eventually Blue Ridge. These are all small mountain towns. They all have a nice little city center, some wineries around, some apple orchards. And this is where the Blue Ridge mountain system starts, so there's some great hiking up there as well. I think depending on what you're looking for, you may swing either way. I personally like to be closer to all the things, so I'm giving the point to Woodstock. For the longest time, I would always say that the further away you get from Atlanta, the lower the home prices will be. And for the most part, that's true. With that in mind, you would think that Canton would have a lower median home price than Woodstock, but this is not always the case and actually hasn't been for a while. For the past 10 years, Canton has had a higher median home price than Woodstock has. What's interesting is what you find when you take a look at the data a little deeper to see what's going on. If you're looking for attached homes, they will be more expensive in Woodstock, and there's also about 50% more options. As of right now, November 2024, there are 62 attached homes for sale in Woodstock for a median home price of $485,000, while Canton only has 47 attached homes available for $360,000. If you look at detached, those numbers reverse. In Canton, there are 406 homes for sale for a median home price of $554,000, while Woodstock only has 239 detached homes for $515,000. Now, take a look at the breakdown in year built. Anything built prior to 1990, it's pretty even, not much of a difference. Same with homes built in the 1990s, pretty much even. Maybe Canton ends up being a bit higher in price. If you look at newer homes, anything 2010 and younger, Woodstock is more expensive up until 2021, and then Canton catches up and it's neck and neck. But when you get into anything built between 2000 and 2009, Canton has consistently been anywhere from 10 to 30% more expensive than Woodstock. So for the most part, the trend of Atlanta proximity is true. Smyrna is more expensive than Marietta, which is more expensive than Woodstock, but Canton breaks the mold as it has become increasingly more popular. Point for home prices go to Woodstock. For the most part, it's even, but Canton breaks away and gets higher in a few subcategories. By the way, if you're thinking about buying or selling anywhere in the metro Atlanta area, I would love to help. My information is below in the description. You also see it here, right at the bottom of the screen. Call, text, or email. I'm always happy just to answer any questions or have a conversation. Let's get that relocation process started. One of the biggest advantages is that Canton has Northside Cherokee Hospital located right in the middle of exit 16 and 19 off 575. You can take Highway 20 and go south at Canton Marketplace, or take Highway 140 and go north at Northside Cherokee Boulevard. Northside Cherokee is a great hospital. It is part of the Northside family of hospitals around Atlanta. There's Cherokee, Forsyth, Atlanta, Duluth, as well as tons of medical centers scattered everywhere. These hospitals offer great care and service. I have a client friend who is very into holistic healing and sound therapy and very unconventional healthcare, and even he is like, I've been there and the place took great care of me. If you're elderly, maybe you're retiring here, maybe you have a loved one with some medical needs, maybe you just like the peace of mind. This can be a huge benefit to be in proximity of this. Woodstock has a lot of medical centers, especially in the Town Lake area, but nothing to the size of Northside Cherokee. If you and your family are in good health, this might not be a concern for you, but because of the benefits, I'm giving Canton the point here. There are 6 high schools in Cherokee County, 3 in Woodstock and 3 in Canton, with a little bit of overlap. Woodstock high schools are going to be Woodstock High, River Ridge, and Etowah. Canton high schools are going to be Sequoia, Creekview, and Cherokee. There are a few on the south side of Canton that will be zoned for Woodstock High, and a few on the north side of Woodstock that are going to be zoned for Sequoia, but we are gonna keep this split by city for simplicity's sake. So who has the best schools? First of all, it gets dicey for me to comment purely based on my opinion. There is a long history of steering and redlining and real estate agents performing feats of malpractice based on factors of race, ethnicity, and other less than stellar reasons. So what we'll do is take ratings from third-party sites, compile them together, and generate an overall ranking. Is the system I've just devised for the purposes of this video the de facto arbiter of which schools are the best and which are the worst? Absolutely not, but this hopefully gives you a clue into where you might go to do more of your own research and what you might be looking for. Now that we have the obligatory CYA out of the way, let's take a look at the numbers. I'm pulling data from both niche.com and greatschools.org. From niche.com, we're looking at the letter grade, and from greatschools.org, we're looking at the rating out of 10 as well as the performance percentile compared to other schools in Georgia. When there was a tie to break, I also pulled in the review rating out of 5 stars from parents and students. Woodstock High is right in the center of Woodstock. Gets an A- on niche.com, a 7 out of 10 on greatschools.org. It performs in the 70th percentile and gets an overall review of 2.1 out of 5 stars. River Ridge High is on the east side of Woodstock. It gets an A- on niche.com and an 8 out of 10 on greatschools.org. It performs in the 75th percentile and gets an overall review of 3 out of 5 stars. We'll place that one right above Woodstock. Etowah High School is on the west side of Woodstock. It gets an A on niche.com, highest yet, an 8 out of 10 on greatschools.org. It performs in the 74th percentile and gets an overall review of 3.3 out of 5 stars. Scores a bit higher on niche.com, but performs a slightly lower percentile on greatschools.org than River Ridge. The reviews break the tie, and we'll give that our current #1 spot. Sequoia is our first Canton high school and is located on the south side, close to the Woodstock line. It gets an A- on niche.com and an 8 out of 10 on greatschools.org. It performs in the 76th percentile and gets an overall review of 2.5 out of 5 stars. A little lower on niche.com than Etowah, but slightly higher on the percentile performance on greatschools.org. Reviews break the tie, so that will go right under Etowah and right above River Ridge. Cherokee High School is in the northwest area of Canton. It gets a B+ on niche.com and a 6 out of 10 on greatschools.org. Performs in the 49th percentile and gets an overall review of 3.4 out of 5 stars. This will easily go to the bottom of the list, but a quick note that I've only heard good things from parents who have kids that go to Cherokee. And this is reflected in the highest reviews that we've seen so far. Also of note is that they're building an entirely new Cherokee High School, and it's really coming along, set to open in the fall of 2026. Maybe a fresh environment will turn some of those numbers around. Lastly is Creekview High, located in the northeast section of Canton. It gets an A- on niche.com and an 8 out of 10 on greatschools.org. It performs in the 76th percentile and gets an overall review of 3.4 out of 5 stars. Again, lower on niche.com than Etowah, but higher higher in percentile performance. Reviews break the tie, and Creekview gets our top spot. Looking at the chart, Creekview, Etowah, Sequoia, and River Ridge are all pretty much the same. Slight drop off at Woodstock and Cherokee. Woodstock gets better ratings than Cherokee, so we're gonna give the point to Woodstock for schools. That being said, in practice, I don't think there's much of a difference here. It's going to be mostly about your preference of what area of the city that you want to live in. If you need any help figuring that out, go ahead and reach out to me. My number is right here at the bottom of the screen. I'm always happy to answer questions or have a conversation. Similar to the schools conversation, I'm not going to claim myself that one is safer than the other. We'll just look at some data from some reputable sites and name one a winner via the semi-arbitrary system that we've devised. First, we're looking at safewise.com. Holly Springs is going to be named the #1 safest city in Georgia. Now you're thinking, Joel, we're not talking about Holly Springs, we're talking about Canton and Woodstock. So a quick note about Holly Springs. Yes, it is its own city, it has its own mayor. However, it's so incredibly small, and if you look at its boundaries compared with Canton's, we're just going to call it part of Canton. Sorry if you take offense, Holly Springs people, but you're just kind of Canton's right toe. So while SafeWise doesn't name Canton specifically, we're going to give it some of that credit. Does it mention Woodstock? It does indeed. Woodstock makes the top 20 safest cities list at number 14. SafeWise ranks cities based on crime rates using FBI reported violent and property crime data, adjusted for population to allow for apples to apples comparisons. Cities are excluded if they fail to meet population thresholds or if they submit incomplete reports. Next, let's take a look at Neighborhood Scout, and we'll pull quotes straight from their page. Woodstock has an overall crime rate of 12 per 1,000 residents, making the crime rate here near the average for all cities and towns of all sizes across America. According to our analysis of FBI crime data, your chance of becoming a victim of crime in Woodstock is 1 in 84. So average for all cities in the US. It goes on. However, compared to other communities of similar population size, Woodstock has a crime rate that is noticeably lower than the average. This means that for comparably sized cities across all America, Woodstock is actually safer than most, according to Neighborhood Scout's exclusive analysis of FBI crime data. All great news. As for Canton, Canton has an overall crime rate of 8 per 1,000 residents, making the crime rate here near the average for all cities and towns of all sizes in America. According to our analysis of FBI crime data, your chance of becoming a victim of crime in Canton is 1 in 118. So a similar story to Woodstock with slightly less of a chance of being a crime victim. And it goes on to say the same thing, that it's noticeably lower than average compared to towns of similar size. Then we'll throw in Holly Springs for good measure. Neighborhood Scout says, if you live in Holly Springs, your chance of becoming a victim of crime in the community is 1 in 276, lowest we've seen yet. Additionally, Neighborhood Scout analyzed all cities and towns in America with a similar population size to Holly Springs, and we found that the crime rate in Holly Springs is one of the lowest in the nation for its size. This means Holly Springs is one of the safest places in America in which to live for its size, a very important finding. Is Woodstock unsafe? Doesn't sound like it. Is Canton safer than Woodstock? I think these two websites would say so. Point for Canton. So we talked about the downtowns and the city centers, as well as location and access to some of the surrounding communities, but let's expand the conversation a bit. How do these cities compare on things to do? Now, we are only allowed to use examples that are in the respective cities. No pulling from other communities. We'll break this down into 3 categories: parks, shopping, and miscellaneous. Let's start with parks. Both Canton and Woodstock are in Cherokee County, and they do an incredible job maintaining their parks. I won't go into too much detail for all of them. That could be a whole video in and of itself. Comment below if that is something that you're interested in. Woodstock has Dupree Park, Hobgood Park, J.J. Bielo Park, and Rope Mill Park. Canton has Etowah River Park, Heritage Park, Cherokee Veterans Park, Blankets Creek, which is a phenomenal mountain bike trail system, J.B. Owens, and Fields Landing, which is beautiful right along Lake Altoona. For my money, I think Canton has the better parks, better and longer walking paths, better mountain biking, more sports options, and bigger. For shopping, Woodstock has 3 main areas: Highway 92, Town Lake, and the outlet shops. Highway 92 has Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, and Kohl's. Nothing really exciting, but it's always good to know where the Target is. Town Lake is more for neighborhoods and restaurants, not a ton of shopping. The real star is the outlets. Tons of options here. Nike, Michael Kors, Coach, Loft, Ralph Lauren. I don't really know, I rarely buy clothes. I just know there's a ton of stuff here. For Canton, there's Canton Marketplace off exit 19, and then Riverstone Parkway off at exit 20. Canton Marketplace has your Target, your Kohl's, your Lowe's, but then across the street is Dick's Sporting Goods, Best Buy, TJ Maxx, Books A Million, Hobby Lobby, Home Goods. Then there's more options on Riverstone like Ross, Michaels, Beal's, Belk, and Home Depot. This one is close. I want to give it to Canton, but I think the outlet shops puts it over the edge in favor of Woodstock. For miscellaneous, there's more odds and ends in Woodstock that are worth mentioning, like Stars and Strikes for the kids and Dixie Speedway for something off the beaten path with things like car races and demolition derbies. Now, 2 out of 3 gives Woodstock the point here. And the winner is Woodstock, 5 points to 3. Now, you may weigh these categories heavier than others. You might not even care about some of these factors, so make sure you're always choosing the city that is going to work best for you and your lifestyle. If you're looking for help, reach out to me, give me 3 to 4 things you're looking for, and I'll be able to drop you in the place or places that are going to work best. If you're looking for other options, check out this playlist right here, and you can learn about some of the other cities around Atlanta that might work better. See you in the next one.